make a man go insane. So come on, baby, let's get it on till the break of dawn. I'll get it on, baby. Let's get it on.
Good morning, everybody. Rivet here. Welcome back to the Hacienda's Kitchen for part 2 of the Borodinsky bread. You can see how frothy and fluffy it is. You got all kinds of gas bubbles, which is great. This is what you want. And I really wish we had smell-o-vision that I could share it with you, because oh my, it just smells so good. Back in the olden days, and you know, last century, long time ago, when the peasants would make this, this smelled so good and it's so delicious, they'd call the entire family to come over and smell it before they added the flour and made it into bread, because it truly is magnificent. And remember in the first video I mentioned how we'd learn how this is nutrition and bread is food. This smell, this scent, gives you fully the idea and the concept behind that. Okay, so now it's time to make the bread. What we have here in a bowl are 4 cups of that 100% ground rye flour and 1 cup of regular white bread flour. Now the reason for that is because this recipe takes a 80-20 ratio of the rye flour versus white flour. And the reason for that is because rye flour does not have the amount of gluten that wheat flour does, so it doesn't really rise very well, coupled with the fact that the bran in the rye flour, since it's stone ground and whole, interferes with the rising action of what little gluten it has. Now I've done some work with the American Institute of Baking, and there's a whole bunch of molecular chemistry behind that, and if you're interested in it, I'll be glad to share it with you, but just need to know that it won't rise, essentially. So you got 20% of white flour, which will allow it to rise somewhat and help with a crumb. To that I am adding 2 tablespoons of ground coriander and 1 teaspoon of salt. And then we are going to combine this very well uniformly. Okay, here's where it gets fun. You got to have some good elbow grease for this. Now we're going to add it here to the flour. Now this is quite a bit of sponge, and I am guessing by experience that I am going to need to add more flour because of the liquid amount of sponge that I'm adding. And that's fine. There's no big deal. As long as you continue to add it in that 80-20 ratio, you're good to go. Oh my goodness, this smells so delicious. Unbelievable. So I am going to start mixing it like so. Is it in the camera? Yeah. Now the funny thing about it is, and this is where it's important to know, rye flour absorbs a lot of moisture, but it does not have the same properties as regular white flour does. And you cannot use this in a Hobart food mixer, you know, the home food mixers, because the dough will get entirely too stiff and just form a ball and wad itself around in the bowl. This has to be done by hand. After a certain point, this is going to stiffen up and the spoon ain't going to work anymore. You're going to have to stick your hands in there and give it the full Monty and start working it hard. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good. Okay, here we go again. Now you can see how by hand I've kneaded this into a nice paste. It is extraordinarily sticky. And a piece of advice, and I've mixed in 1 cup of rye flour with a little bit less than a 1/4 cup of white flour for that roughly 80-20 ratio, and I will be incorporating this in. And I'm going to put it on this previously sanitized counter. There's a little bit of that rye flour and white flour that I added that is going to be a little bit excess, but I can shake that out of the bowl and add it here as I need. So I'll keep mixing this in, and what you want to do is knead for about 20 minutes. Day 2 goes by pretty quickly, and other than this portion here of kneading and forming the dough, it's again waiting. Now you can see it's like a massive clay. That's exactly how you want it. Okay? So let me wash up and join me back here in a minute. Okay. What we've got here is I've got my 3 little loaf pans that I've shot generously with cooking spray. Okay? And we're going to take about a teaspoon of whole coriander seeds and sprinkle them on the bottom of each pan. What I've also done is I've ground up a couple tablespoons in my mortar. These are going to be sprinkled on top at the end. So I've got a bowl of cold water, because you're going to use your fingers to form the dough in there, because it's not going to go in there willingly, and you need to continuously wet your fingers. So we're going to cut the dough into about thirds, and this is how we're going to get it in the loaf pans. This is how you shape it. Now you want to mash it down kind of hard to get any air pockets out of the bottom, because since it's not going to rise that much, the effort you expend here is going to dictate the shape of the loaves at the end. And you want a nice dense loaf. And part of the thing of shooting it with that pan is that they'll just pop right out when it's ready. Okay, that one looks about right, and so then what you do is you sprinkle the ground coriander over top, and just the warmth of the oven with the light on will be enough to let it rise. Alright, here you can see after exactly 1 hour how much these little loaves have risen. And that's about all the rise you're going to get. That's why you need that white flour in there. But that's fine. So now we're going to turn on the oven for 400 degrees and bake them for 30 minutes. Okay, just got beeping. That means that 30 minutes are up for 400 degrees. And I'm going to now lower it. Alrighty, the Borodinsky bread is done. Last iteration, and for you perfectionists, you want the internal temp of the loaf to be at 190. And so here's what the loaves look like when they are done. And as you can see, they pulled away from the pan. And so what we're going to do now is we're just going to pop them out. And without burning myself, see if I can do this. And of course, yeah, a lot of the coriander is going to fall off, but you can see, and you can see the coriander at the bottom of the loaf, how it's embedded. That's good stuff right there. And we're just going to lay it out to cool. And boy, this is smelling so good. So anyway, you can see the cracks in here. That's why you really want to mash down the bread better. This loaf, ouch, that's hot, is much tighter. Can you see that? Because you mashed it down as you were forming it. So anyway, we're going to let it cool. And then we're going to slice it, and we got some butter melting, and I'm going to show you how to eat it. You're going to see the good stuff about Borodinsky bread, one of the good things to come out of Mother Russia. Okay, here we are. We got the Borodinsky bread, and we're going to slice this baby up. You see if this is, yeah. All right. Look at that crumb. Is that good? I'm going to bring it up close. Oh, the smell is absolutely delicious. Can you see that? That is tight, it's clean, it's nice, it's dense. Oh, it's warm too. One of the hallmarks of Borodinsky bread, and something that the Soviet bakeries did, is it's always better 24 hours later. And the reason for that is because this bread is so dense, and this loaf, the entire loaf weighs, well, let me grab this one over here, and I'm guessing this weighs a good 2 pounds. But anyway, it's so dense, they'd wait 24 hours after baking before they'd sell it. And the reason for that is to allow all the moisture to redistribute itself within the crumb of the bread. But, you know, here at home, we can eat it just the way it is. And, of course, it's going to be better tomorrow. And I'm going to wrap it up in tin foil, how I normally do, and just let it sit out. By the way, Borodinsky bread freezes very well. And, of course, I don't leave all 3 loaves out all the time because I can't eat that much. So I wrap them in tin foil, and then I put them in a Ziploc bag, and I put them in the freezer. And hell, down in the deep freeze in the basement, they'll keep 6 months easy. And when you bring them out, they're just as good as when the day you froze them. So here we go. Can you see this lovely warm butter melting on that bread? Let's give it a taste. Mmm. Mmm. That rye. That luscious density. Mmm. Sweetness of butter. That's food. That's not just bread, folks. That's food. This is not the only way to enjoy this, okay? There are a lot of other ways. And I'm going to show you some pictures, because I got a couple cans of sardines, some sprats, some onions, some pickles. This bread is wonderful to make s'more brats, which are Swedish little open-faced sandwiches. And it's awesome, and you just slap on mustard and put whatever you like on there, and it is absolutely delicious. As well, this makes a good breakfast. Toast it. It toasts up really nice and crunchy. My favorite is with butter and orange marmalade. That's just, oh, it's unbelievably good. That, a cup of coffee, you're good to go till lunchtime. Anyway, there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me at the Hacienda, this time bacon, Borodinsky bread. Keep watching. I'm going to slap some pictures on of the little sandwiches I'm fixing to make.